So in the last session, there was a puzzle, there was a question which in many occasions Manjul Bhargav posed to the audience. So host has disabled participant screen sharing, undemocratic.
Yeah, on now.
So I'll quickly repeat the problem. So you have two syllables. One is the short, which is of a duration of 1 beat, and the long syllable, which is of a duration of 2 beats. So a short syllable and a long syllable. And the question is, so this question was actually posed by Sanskrit poet Hemant Chandra. So if suppose we have 8 more beats to be filled in the line, then what are the total number of combinations possible with short and long syllables? What is the total number of combinations possible with these two? That is the question which the Sanskrit poet Hemant Chandra posed. So in the last session, Sunil, what was your observation?
So it was 34. 34 combinations are possible.
Yes, right. So quickly to tell, to give examples of some of the common combinations, some trivially seeable combinations. It could be 4 long. So this would amount to totally 8 beats.
8 beats. Yeah.
8 beats. Or it could be short 8 times. This would also take 8 beats.
Yes.
Because each shot is 1 beat, so 8 shots is 8 beats.
Yes.
But now we can have this long shot. So this is 2, 3, 6.
One more long. Yeah.
One more long. So this also amounts to 8 beats. And we can also play around with this. We can permute this. So it could be short, long, short, long. This is also 8 beats, but it's actually a permutation of this. So we have, like this, we have different ways of getting 8 beats. So the question is, what are the total number of combinations? This was the question. And Sunil, yes, your answer was 34.
34. Yeah.
Right. And then you also saw a pattern here, right?
Yes.
What was the pattern seen here?
Yeah. So to fill 1 beat, you...
Exactly. So let us call B1 to be the number of ways to get 1 beat, B2 the number of ways to get 2 beats, B3 3 beats, and so on. So the number of ways to get 1 beat is just 1 shot, right? So for B1, the total possible combinations for B1 is, you just have a shot. So the total number is just 1. For B2, it could be either short or a long. So the count is 2. Then for B3, to get the 3 beats,
Short. Long. Long shot.
So here there are 3 possible ways.
Yeah.
Right. And for B4, if you actually enumerate, it will come out to 5.
Yeah.
Then for B5, it will come out to 8.
8.
Then for B6, it will come out to 13. For B7, it will come out to 21. And for B8, it will come to 34. Right.
Is it Fibonacci series, right? Fibonacci series.
Yes, exactly. So if you actually calculate, so we see that Fibonacci sequence is coming as a solution to this problem. So now the question is, what is Fibonacci sequence doing here? And the poet Hemachandra, he gives a very beautiful explanation of why this sequence is coming here, why this sequence is behaving in this manner.
Yeah. Yes.
So Sunil, any comments on that?
Yes, I could figure out. Actually, every beat, you take any beat, it will end with either a short or a long.
Beautiful. So any combination will end with either a short or a long. Yes.
A short or a long.
Yes.
So the previous n-1 beats, you can fill it in let's say b n-1 ways. So there are let's say we are trying to calculate number of ways in which n beats can be filled.
Exactly.
N beats can be filled. So the nth beat ends in either a short or a long.
Wonderful. So this could either end in a short or this could end in a long.
Yeah. If you consider short, so I'm trying to find out how many ways this beat will end with a short. So so the previous, there are still n-1 beats left, right?
Yes.
N
so
minus.
I'll just write down what I'm trying to find. So how many combinations end with the yes?
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
So among all the combinations that have n bits, that occupy n bits, how many end with yes? And how many end with
L?
How many end with L? This is the two things. Yeah, so we are looking at all the combinations that occupy n bits, and out of that, we are now trying to count how many bits, how many combinations end with yes, and how many end with L. Yes, continuously.
Yes, sir. Yes, sure. So there are n-1 beats left, right? So consider the first case where the beats are ending with s. So there are n-1 beats left.
Right. So here, basically, we are looking at all the combinations where the last is yes.
Yes.
Last is yes. So if the last is yes, then the previous these syllables together must constitute n-1 beats.
N-1 beats. Since the short syllable takes, that is a short syllable. It takes only one beat. So so bn-1. The number of ways in which n-1 beats can be filled is bn-1.
So the size of this is bn-1.
Bn-1.
Similarly, with if you look at all the combinations that end with the
L, yes.
L, but still which occupy n beats.
Yes, because since L takes two syllables, so just we need to find out in how many ways n-2 beats can be filled.
Exactly. So since we have a L towards the end, the previous syllables together would constitute n-2 beats.
N-2 beats.
N-2 beats. And what are the number of ways of having n-2 beats? That is B.
N-2.
N-2. Right. So basically, so from this way of looking at it, what do we get?
Yeah, it is. Number of ways in which n beats can be filled is B of n-1 plus B of n-2.
Exactly. Right. So because of this way of, and even it's interesting that Hemachandra also gave the same reasoning, but he condensed it into one sentence. And this is the reason why Manjul Bhargava wants to call this sequence Hemachandra Fibonacci sequence, because this was before Fibonacci.
Yes.
Right. So now today we will analyze properties of Fibonacci sequence. So Fibonacci sequence is rich with
So how do you generalize it?
Sir, yes, sir. Which one?
So how do you see here if it is arithmetic? That is, we can generalize it. For the nth term, what is this one? How to find out the nth term like that? How do you generalize it?
Excellent question. So this is exactly the same question which Gauri ma'am also asked. How do you find the nth term? So
Nth
finding
term.
So there are two ways of this. So there are two ways of this of approaching this finding the nth term. So okay, so let us start with this well-known example: 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 till n. So we have this summation. So if it is just one term, we have 1. 2 terms, we have 1 plus 2, 3. 3 terms, we have 1 plus 2 plus 3 is 6. Then 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 is 10, and so on. Right? So now, can we give a formula for this summation? Do we?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So what is that?
N into n plus 1 by 2.
Exactly. N into plus 1 by 2. Right. So we have different ways. So we have different ways of coming up with this formula in the first place. And then, yeah, so we know that this formula works. This is one thing. Another thing is, now suppose we know a formula. Now to check whether this formula holds for all the cases or not. Right? For this, for example, we'll just take exactly what Jagdish started with. So we have this formula n into n plus 1 by 2, right? So for n equal to 1, this would be n into 2 by 2, which is 1. When n is equal to 2, this is 2 into 3 by 2, which is 3. Yeah, so basically here we can see that there is a match, right? There's a match. But then, can we check for all the infinite cases? Can we check for all the infinite cases? Is one question. It is clear that by actual substitution of numbers, it is not possible to check for all the infinite cases. That is clear. But then, people came with a very nice technique of handling this for infinite case. Okay, and this method. Okay, before saying the name of the method, we'll just explore this method. Okay, I think
I don't know, Shiv, just a guess. Is it mathematical?
Yes, correct. So this is the method by induction. So as it is called. So we have this Sn equal to 1 plus 2 plus 3 till n, right? So now we have to see if Sn equal to n into n plus 1 by 2 or not. This is a question mark which we need to check. Okay, and we have already checked for n equal to 1 and 2. So we already checked for n equal to 1, 2. We can also check for a few more numbers, and it is true for this, right? Right. So are others also aware of this method of induction?
Yeah. The second step would be replace n with n plus 1.
Right.
And it should also hold true.
Correct. So at least, basically what it says is the formula holds. This formula is true. At least for 1 and 2. This formula is true. Now, let us check if it is true for. So let us check if it is true for n plus 1 also. Okay, so this is how it starts.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, is there any way? So here I would like to just stop here and I will just stop here and maybe you can think of how we can continue with Sn plus 1 also. So here, of course, by direct substitution of n equal to 3, we can check whether this Sn is indeed that whether this n into n plus 1 by 2 is indeed the right formula. But given that we know this, can we show that this formula holds for Sn plus 1 also? If yes, how? So this is just one question. So basically, so this is the proof technique. So coming to the nth term of Fibonacci sequence, right? Again, so here there are two approaches. One is try to derive the formula ourselves. Okay. Second thing is take the formula. Somebody has come up with a formula with an ingenious method, and then check whether it is true or not by induction, by this approach. So there are two approaches. So the first approach for Fibonacci sequence actually needs a lot of machinery. It needs a lot of machinery. We will go into that. Definitely, we will go into that. Like I will give some problems which will take us towards that, towards the nth terms formula. Or yeah, so we can try that. And we always have this second method of checking using induction. So both these things are there. Come to the nth term formula. Of course, it is a very interesting formula. We will see that. And this asking for what is the formula for the nth term, right? So this has been there for a long time. So when mathematicians started coming across primes, right? The question came, so the same question arose. Can we give a formula which will give the nth term of, which will give the nth prime number? So this people were trying for a long time to get. And so till now there is no such explicit formula for nth term of a prime number. And I don't think anybody expects one to find a general formula for primes, first place. Right. Okay, or maybe so I will just give, I'll give the starting question for finding the nth term of Fibonacci sequence. Right now, maybe I will do that. And then we can start exploring the properties of Fibonacci sequence. Right. So sometime back we were exploring summation like this, right? So half plus 1 by 4 plus 1 by 8 plus 1 by 16, and yeah, so this summation, right? So what can we say about the behavior of this summation as the number of terms keep increasing? As the number of terms in the summation keeps increasing, what can we say about this sum? So
it is approaching, it is converging, or we can say it is converging to the value 1, probably.
It is converging to the value 1, right? So now what do you mean
by or approaching the value 1?
Yeah, so can you explain what you mean by that? Approaching the value of 1 means, what does it mean?
So so half is just 50%, right? So half is 50%, 50 plus then 1/4 is 25%, and then that is 12.5%, something like that. So if we keep on doing that, so it is literally adding up to 100%.
Okay, but will it ever reach 100?
Yeah.
I think so. I think so. We need to check it out.
If you take a paper, sir.
Yeah. Decimal.
If you take a sheet of paper, sir. So how do you visualize it?
Yeah, sheet of paper is a good example. Exactly.
Yeah. If you take a sheet of paper, if you go on folding half, quarter, if you go on shielding, that ends to 1 only. Within 1 only, all this will be there. All these rational numbers will be there.
But with that, we can say it's less than 1. Can we say that it's equal to 1?
But it is a infinite, no?
Okay. So it's a infinite. So first thing is, what do you mean by adding infinite number of terms? There's a question, right? Adding 1,000 terms makes sense. Adding 1 lakh terms makes sense. But if you have to add infinite terms, that means we never stop adding, right? So what does it even mean in the first place? How can we even define this? Is one question, right? So what do you think about it? Is it a well-defined concept? First of all, it's a well-defined concept. Yeah. So this is one starting question. So you can ask what is the nth formula for the nth term of Fibonacci sequence? to do with an infinite series like this. Interestingly here, so maths throws up lots of such interesting surprises. But here in this sequence which you have called 1 by 2 plus 1 by 4 plus 1 by 8 plus 1 by 16, what does it mean to add infinite numbers? And will this sum? So actually, so one thing from the argument which you all have made, one thing is clear is if we take a line of length 1, if we take a line of length 1 unit, then we go to half of it, we reach here, and then next we add a quarter, right?
Yeah.
That is basically half of the remaining portion. The remaining portion half is here, so I'll choose this point. Now I've reached here from half and 1 by 4. Next, I have to add 1 by 8 to it.
Then so again half of it.
So the remaining portion is 1 by 4 here. Again, I'm choosing half of it. So I'll go here and I'll choose this point. And so basically what I'm doing is at each stage, I'm choosing the midpoint of the remaining region. So this is the starting region, A and B, we call it A and B, unit length. And once I reach a particular point, I see the midpoint of the remaining region and add that. And I keep on adding. So basically what all these arguments show is this sum will not exceed a number.
Yeah, it will not exceed 1.
It will not exceed 1. No matter how many terms we add, it will not exceed 1. So this is one key. So this is one fact that we have here, right? So even though we are adding infinite number of terms, no matter how many terms we add, this sum will never cross 1, right? So one question is, can we come up with, are there any other summation like this, series like this, where we can surely say that no matter how many terms I add, it will not cross a particular number? Can we come up? Are there any other sequences? So, for example, if you take this sequence, this series 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus n, right? This is unbounded. So you cannot put a cap to it. Whatever cap you put, it will break that and go. This summation. But interestingly, this summation which I have written here, this 1 by 2 plus 1 by 4 plus 1 by 8 plus and so on, no matter how many terms I add, it will not cross a particular number. And here the particular number is 1. Question is, are there more series like this? That is question number 1. Right. So again, the Jagdish sir asked, so why are we talking about summation like this, which is bounded? What does that have to do with Fibonacci sequence? And surprisingly, yes, there's a very strong relation here. If you're able to make sense of this and progress, maybe we can see that formula. That is one thing, right? So this is one question for all of us to think about. And also at this time, I would like to throw this session open to analyze some interesting properties of Fibonacci sequence. So we'll have both these problems. One is very concrete, another is a bit abstract. So I'll place both in front of you. You can pick either of them or both of them, and we can discuss. So this is the Fibonacci sequence: 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, and so on. Right. So the basic definition of Fibonacci, so the way the sequence is composed is the nth term, the n plus 1th term can be obtained by adding the nth term and n minus 1th term. This is one basic. This is the way the sequence is built. And the starting 2 is, so we'll call this as F1, F2, F3, and so on. So the starting 2 is 1 and 1. So we have to define the starting 2 numbers, and we have defined it to be 1 and 1, and then it follows. Right. So Fibonacci sequence, the basic building block is adding 2 consecutive numbers, right? Instead of stopping with consecutive numbers, what if we keep on adding? Like for example, I have 1 here. Now if I add the first 2 numbers, Fibonacci numbers, I get 1 plus 1, that is 2. If I add the first 3, I get 4. Okay. So basically now we saw the sum of first n natural numbers, right? Now, if you take the sum of first n Fibonacci numbers, is there any pattern here? We are not actually trying to find the formula for the first sum of first n Fibonacci numbers, not the formula, but just to see if there is any pattern.
For this, I get it if you go 1 plus 2 plus 4 and 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 4, I get 2 to the power of n pattern.
2 to the power n pattern. But if you continue for that, if you add the next term, that is 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3.
Oh, like that, but you added 2 then. 1 plus 1 plus 3, no? You should add 5. I thought I had taken that to you.
I don't know. So basically, I take the first n Fibonacci numbers and add. So here, first 3 is 1 and 1, 1, 2. Then the first 4,
yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Okay.
So now, if you are, suppose we are adding the first 2 Fibonacci numbers, the first 3, first 4, first 5, and then we tabulate all these values. Is there a pattern to these sums? So here it is 4, it is 7, then it is 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 5, this is 12, then 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 5 plus 8, this is 20. So for these partial sums, is there a pattern in the right hand side? So these are the partial sums of Fibonacci numbers. And there's some. So can we find any pattern here? And or any relation between this sum and the Fibonacci sequence itself?
Okay.
That is something which we can. So this 1, 2, 4, 7, 12, 20 is actually very close to the Fibonacci sequence. Can anyone see that connection?
Yeah, just one less.
Yes.
Yes, it's one less. Yes.
It is 1
1,
less.
2, 4, 7. Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, can you? So this 2 is 1 less than 3, right? Which is the fourth Fibonacci number. This is nothing but F4 minus 1.
Yes.
And this 4 is actually 1 less than Fibonacci number, right? And this 7 is actually 1 less than the 6th Fibonacci number. So what we are having is, if you are adding the first k consecutive Fibonacci numbers, the sum is actually 1 less than another Fibonacci number, right? Right. So this is one thing. Again, this is a pattern which we have seen. Will it hold always or not? That is the next question, right? Fine. This is one thing. So now, of course, so why does it happen? Will it always happen is a question that is there before us. You can think about that question, but I would also ask you to look at a different sum now. You can also try to find a pattern here. So instead of adding the first k Fibonacci numbers, let us skip one number in between and just add the Fibonacci numbers in the odd positions. Say we add the first, third, then first, third, and fifth, first, third, fifth, and seventh, and so on. Can you see any pattern here?
So here, what about the 1, 1? The top 2 also, do we take into account, or the start?
Yes, we take into account. So this is the first position. This is the third position. This is the fifth position. This is the seventh position, and so on.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm just asking these questions, but feel free to go back to our infinite series question or to look into why the previous relation holds.
Okay.
Shiv,
Yes.
the sum of first n Fibonacci numbers in the odd position will give you the Fibonacci number in the n plus 1 position.
Wow. So yeah, but before that, we found this relation of first n Fibonacci numbers, right? So can we give a formula for this? So what would be we'll first generalize this and go to that. So what would be F1 plus F2 till Fn? Yeah, here are two more questions. F1 plus F3 plus F5 till F99, what would that be? And F1 plus F2 plus F3 plus F4 till F99, what would this be? Just based on the, so if at all the pattern holds, so we still do not know if it will hold always or why, but still if the pattern holds, then what can we say about these two sums? So we see that this sequence is built with just adding the previous two numbers, but then just this definition is spilling over and it is creating nice properties for even longer chain of sums. I would add one more thing. So instead of taking the odds, the sum of odd positions, we'll take sum of even positions. And this time it will be 100. What would this be?
I think for the odd positioned Fibonacci, like F1 plus F3 plus F5. So I think the answer would be up to F99 you were asked, right? The answer would be F100.
Nice.
Okay. And for the even ones, so you say that F100, right? So it will be actually, wait.
Yeah, take your time.
It is F101 minus 1.
Exactly, F101 minus 1. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
so
nice.
Basically, if you generalize, then it will be F1 plus F3 plus F5 plus dot 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 up to F of 2n minus 1. That will be equal to F of 2n.
Fantastic.
And F2 plus F4 plus F6 dot 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 up to F of 2n. That will be equal to F of 2n plus 1 minus 1.
Awesome. Right. So the third thing that is remaining, the starting thing is F1 plus F2, the full sum, F1 plus F2 plus F3 till Fn.
It is sum of these two.
Sum of these two.
Ah, these two. And what is it in terms of Fibonacci number?
Is f of 2n plus f of 2n minus.
Just a moment. Okay, so it will be f of 2n minus 1. Yeah, so this would be so for this one, it is exactly sum of these two. But here we do not have 2n here, but we already noticed the pattern here, right? 1, 2, 4, 7, 12, 20. This pattern. Gap.
Is it f1 plus f2 plus f3 plus f1? According to that pattern, f of n plus 2 minus 1?
You tell me. Is it or it is?
F of n plus 2 minus 1.
Okay. Again, so these are patterns that we have seen, right? Sorry, n plus 2 minus 1.
N plus 2.
But again, as I'm saying, there is a open question here, which you are not yet addressed. What is that? What is that? Whether will this always hold? So will this always hold? How can we know if it will always hold? That is one question. How can we know if it will always hold? For example, we saw for the sum of first n natural numbers, we saw that ingenious method of adding the first and the last, second and the last but one, and we were able to come up with a formula, right? Or some of you also know the method of induction. So question is, can we apply it here and examine this? Always hold. This is the fine. Right. So now we will go to another pattern. So as I was saying, right? So this entire sequence is built on just adding the previous two numbers. So each number is obtained by adding the previous two numbers, and just this simple property has given us such a rich structure in terms of summation, in terms of a longer summation, right? But then, yes.
So we cannot expect the sum to be independent of the let's say previous term or next term of a sequence because of the nature of Fibonacci sequence.
Correct.
Right?
Correct. Exactly. Correct. And the thing is, yeah, it is. We were reading all these neat relationships. F2n, F2n minus 1, F n plus 2 minus 1. Correct. And the reason which you gave is this exactly. What about squares of Fibonacci numbers? So again, we talk of sum of first n natural numbers, then sum of first n perfect squares, sum of first n cubes, right? So when we're studying numbers, we have this classic approach. Similarly, now instead of taking Fibonacci numbers, we take its squares. Okay, now we take its squares. So 1, 1, 4, 9, 25, 64, 169, 441. Do you see any patterns here in terms of summation or any other?
Sure.
Yes.
You just noticed a pattern.
Wow.
So if I denote the the square of the third Fibonacci number, which is 4.
Okay.
And you add that number with the next square of the fourth Fibonacci number.
Okay, that is 2 square. So this is basically F3 square plus F4 square.
Yes.
This is 2 square plus 3 square, which is 4 plus 9.
We'll get F7.
My God. Wow. So what is the general rule here?
Fn square plus Fn plus 1 square is
okay.
F of 2n plus 1.
Wow.
Some nice.
Wow.
Nice pattern.
Right. So you see this interesting structure has split to squares also. Right.
I found one interesting property with products of the Fibonacci numbers. So if I multiply the first n Fibonacci numbers, I'm able to give the product as the sum of some n minus 1 Fibonacci numbers. So for example, 1 times 1.
So the product of first n Fibonacci numbers, you're able to express it as sum
of n minus 1, some n minus 1 Fibonacci numbers.
Wow. So
I can't prove it, I only have examples.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, so you can give your examples.
So 1 times 1 is 1, which is F1. Then 1 times 2 is 2.
Okay.
I've taken as 0 plus 2. Then I've...
okay, wait. So this is sum of n minus 1 consecutive Fibonacci numbers or?
Not consecutive, not consecutive.
Oh, but I guess you can have this consecutive property also because you can write 2 as 1 plus 1, right?
Yes, 2 as 1 plus 1.
2 into 3 into 5. 2 into 3 into 5 is 30. Can I write it as sum of 2 Fibonacci numbers? Consecutive Fibonacci numbers? Oh, no. Right. This is
yeah, 30 comes as 21 plus 5 plus 3 plus 1.
21 plus
5 plus 3 plus 1. Oh, it's a consecutive.
Right. No. Consecutive, it's clearly not hold.
Consecutive is
sum
in the first few, but not later. Yeah.
Fine. 21 plus 5 plus 3 plus 1.
Okay.
But can you write a sum of 2 Fibonacci numbers?
So 2 it holds in some cases, but in some cases I was not able to find. So I have been able to do with n minus 1. So here we multiplied
3 numbers. Oh, or I can take this. Okay. Right. I forgot the 2 ones, right?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you have 5 numbers.
Correct.
You can use 5 numbers. So what would be 21 plus 5, 26, 29, 30. We don't want 30 to come so fast, but so we can make this as 2 and then 1 and a 1.
No, I wanted to use, okay, we can do it with n also. Okay, we'll do n, but then you'll have to change the previous one. 1 times 2, we'll have to use 3 numbers there. How we can't do that?
No. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, sorry. So 26, 29, and 30. Nice. So, so patterns like this, which are like a collection of several layers of smaller observations, would call it deep. This is like very, I don't know. I have not come across something like this, but it seems plausible. It seems plausible because of the structure.
Yeah.
We'll think about it. Very interesting. Right. So at this point, we will conclude this session. So we have got lots of questions that was raised in the session, and the last being the squares of Fibonacci numbers. So if you take the sum of 2 consecutive squares, then Sunil found this beautiful relation that it is coming out to be another Fibonacci number. So you're adding 2 squares, then you get a Fibonacci number. That is one observation which Sunil made. And then of course there is, if you take the first n square numbers and add them, there is still a pattern. So we'll see, we can work on that. And the last pattern which Gauri told, mind-blowing thing. You take the product, now instead of taking the sum of first n Fibonacci numbers, take the product of first n Fibonacci numbers. So interestingly, Fibonacci sequence also has many interesting multiplicative properties as well. So I would ask you to explore this multiplication property also. So one is taking the first n Fibonacci numbers product, or taking pairwise products, skipping a number in between. So try these combinations, and there are lots of interesting structure there also.
Yeah. So also, how do they represent these Fibonacci numbers as a spiral?
Right. So they don't represent this as a spiral, but in nature, surprisingly, Fibonacci numbers come up in so many contexts. So if you see many spiral structures in some plants, or what do you call that? If you take, there's a name for that type of floral arrangement.
Daisy, right? Daisies.
Daisies, yeah.
They say that
Yes.
the number of petals.
Right. So if you actually count, right, they follow Fibonacci numbers. And this floral pattern of certain plants, if you see, you'll be able to see a spiral like this. And if you actually count the number of flowers, right, it'll also follow Fibonacci sequence.
Okay. Geometrically, we can represent that is if you take one square and if you go on adding one to that, you take out that all this one, you'll get a spiral like that.
Yes. Oh, okay. Yeah. True. Correct. So apart from coming in the nature, we can also geometrically represent this, you're saying. So one square.
Then if you go on, add one more
time. Square plus one square.
Again, then 2 again square.
Then
1 plus 1, 2 square. Yeah. Again, you get a 2 plus 1, 3. Again, 3 square.
Then 3 square.
Yeah. Then 3 plus 2, 5.
This is 3. This is 2.
2.
This is 5 square.
5 square like that.
Oh, nicer. Nice. 5 square. And then this is 8. Now this entire thing is 8. So this is 8 square. Oh, so maybe this way of drawing itself will...
Yeah, it gives a spiral.
Yeah.
It gives a spiral.
So how does this give a spiral, sir?
Adding 1 to that, if you take a midpoint of it again, 1 plus, you exactly starts here. Yeah, no. Yeah. No. That you should,
yes,
you should touch the midpoint of it.
Okay, nice.
And 3 midpoint and 5 midpoint and 8 midpoint, like that. Square midpoint, you get a spiral.
Nice. Very nice.
Sir, is this a new technique? I've never seen anything like this.
Yeah. Thanks, sir, for sharing this. Very nice, very nice. And also this geometric representation might also give us clue of trying to understand why this kind of sequences, why we observe this kind of patterns in the first place.